Okay, let's install the software. It's delivered in a zip, so the first thing we need to do is to unzip it, and I will use 7-zip for that, though of course you could use any of a number of different utilities like WinZip or StuffIt or even just Windows Explorer. And you'll see that when you unzip it you get one folder called product, and we'll look at the contents of that in a moment, but first I'm going to just refresh my FileZilla so that I can make sure that I've got it in the folder on my PC. And this is of course not the only FTP client, there are others. If you don't know about FTP, have a look on Google and find a suitable client. You may need to get help from your web host if you don't know what this is about. My web files are in this folder called web on my host. This is my home page. You may be more used to seeing something like this, public HTML, www, or possibly even like this, HTTP docs. But in all cases these are just the folders where your web facing files are, and web happens to be the one on this server which I'm using here. So what I need to do is get this folder up onto the host, and I'm just going to drag and drop. And you can have more than one instance of the product on your website. You'll see how that all hangs together a bit later on when I do a double, but I will say this: if you're going to use this in the root folder, you do have to watch out for one little thing, and I'll talk about that right at the very end, but I'm going to assume for the moment there's just going to be one instance which will be in its own folder, which you probably might want to rename, but that's entirely up to you. If we drill down, we'll find admin and index.php. Don't go messing with that, because that's really the file which makes all the magic happen. Have a look in admin, and there's one important thing we need to do here. Config.php, on my server at least, is given 644 as its permissions. You may find that that's not enough. It's not on mine. I need 664. So you may have to experiment with this. You may even find that you have to go up to 755, 775 or 777. But see what works for you in terms of the configuration page, which we will look at shortly when we look at how this thing works. Now let's just have a little look at what it does in its raw state. Now you remember that I installed it in a folder called product, so if I call that up we can see the initial setup. Now notice the first thing you see here is this countdown clock. It's set to 20 seconds. You may find it slightly different in the version that's delivered. You can see here that there is some obviously configurable text, and there's this bar here at the back. So we'll see now when the clock reaches 0 that we get an extra link put in, and if you look down the bottom left as I float the mouse over it, you can see that it's to Bing. So if I click on this, you'll see we get taken to Bing. Okay, so what's going on there? Let me now just call up the configuration screen, because if I do that, you'll remember that in the folder that we created there was a subfolder called admin, and if I go there you see the configuration. Now if you've done anything with HTML, there's a good chance that all this will make sense pretty much straight away, but if not, I'll just walk through it very quickly. Let me just copy this part of the URL, whoops, I'm going to copy that and then just call it up in another tab so you can see how all this hangs together. Okay, so background color, this is a hex color code, and that clearly relates to this part of the screen up here. All these C's represent a hex color, which is a sort of grey. If you're not sure about this, then do a Google search like this, and you should find plenty of ideas to show you what values you can use there. It's important to include the hash sign at the beginning and include all 6 digits. So this one here, I'm going to copy this one and we'll make a change just so you see how it works. FFFF, like that, is all colours on, which means white. The timer I'm going to cut right down to, let's cut it in half and say 10. That's fairly self-explanatory. Whatever you put in there, it will be in seconds. You can have as short or as long a period as you like. The iframe URL, well, you can see google.com there, and clearly that relates to this part here. It's giving me the UK version, but this is going to be what you see on your screen initially, and it's important here to include the http:// at the front of it. So just for fun, let's change this to show you how it works and say let's have Yahoo. I should have the British version, and the text. And again, I'm not doing anything clever here, this is really just to show you how it works. And then the link. The link is the field which appears over here. So this is standard HTML for an href anchor tag. And what I'm going to do is choose something else here. Let's say, oh, I don't know, MSN, just for the sake of argument. And you can of course change the words. I'll just say try this. And again, this is all very simple, just to make sure that you see how it works. And again, it's very important that whatever you put in terms of a link in there, you include http:/. If you're not sure about this HTML, the important thing is this bit. You must have http:// whatever the link is you want to use. So I'm going to submit this. Now this, if you remember me talking on the installation, was where it's important to make sure that your config.php file in the admin folder is set with the correct permissions. And if I just go back to the FTP side of things, this is that file there and the permissions there. You've got to make sure that whatever permissions you have there are suitable to allow you to modify this, because if you don't, nothing will change. So if I submit this, and we should find if we reload this tab that things will look a little different. Okay, my text, we're counting down from 10 now. The bar at the top is clear white because I changed the background. The page we're seeing here is Yahoo instead of Google. And now we've got my link here, and if I click on this, you can see in the bottom left it says msn.co.uk, and sure enough, if I click on it, it's a little slow, but there we go, MSN. So that is basically what it does, and the easy interface you've seen there is how you can modify things. We'll take a look in a moment at one or two ideas about how you might be able to use this. Okay, so you may have lots of ideas already about how you can use this software, but here's one which you can use as an example. You remember I highlighted this file when we were talking about my web server. It's the home page of the domain as a whole, and I didn't actually show it to you, so I'll do that now. And here it is. This is basically just a little example of the kind of thing you might have. It's offering two versions of some software. One is completely free and the other one is a premium version which is charged for on a monthly basis. So the idea here is that if somebody were to choose the free version, it will take you into the process that we've just seen. Wait before you go on, and then a clock counting down, and you can then have whatever you like in here. I've actually put just a bit of text, but you could have audio, you could have video. And of course what happens is that you can make your pitch there for somebody to go for the premium version, but of course eventually the clock will run down like it has now, and you're free to take them off to the download page, and we'll look at that in just a second. But first of all, I want to just explain to you how this is set up. You remember that when we were looking at the initial setup, we saw that we had a folder called product, and within that we had a subfolder called admin, and this of course is the screen we looked at before, and basically it's just the same as we saw then. But what I've done here is I've actually put this new URL in for the iframe, and you can see that it's a page called sure.html. If I highlight all of that, if I can, and copy it and then paste it into this new blank tab and call it up, you see that it looks very familiar, and indeed this is the page which basically got in the iframe, but of course because it's in an iframe you don't see the address, so that's really where that comes from. So all that's left there is to set the timer to an appropriate value, set some text, and set the name of set the link details for what you see in the top right hand corner when the timer runs down. Now what I've done here is I've put in a page called freedownload.html, and in fact if we go back to our header here and just click on that, you can see that that again is very simple, just for demonstration purposes, and this is where the download would take place. So I need to go back here to the FTP and show you that in the product directory I've put these 2 extra pages in here, but they don't actually have to go in there at all. It's entirely up to you where you put them. I will say this though, the index.php file in the product folder is important. I haven't really talked about it before, but it's the file which starts the magic off. It's the file which reads what's in the admin folder and works out the configuration. So I wouldn't be inclined to mess with that, and I think that's an important thing to remember. So that will give you some idea of the kind of thing you might like to use this for, and I hope you find this example useful. Okay, here's another idea. What I've done is put another instance of this product on my server and in a folder called product 2. Now the reason for that just shows that you can actually have more than one as long as you keep track of everything. Now what I've done is I've set up an autoresponder which is basically eliciting an email address in exchange for a free report, and what I'm going to do here is I've put the address of that new instance of the product as the success URL. And as an example, I've done a sign up and I'm about to confirm it. So if I go to my email, you can see the link here, and if you look in the bottom left as I float over that, you can see that that is the location that I'm going to be taken to when I click to confirm my subscription. So if I do that, you'll see much the same kind of thing that we've seen already. And what's going to happen is that the download for the free report, which induced me to sign up, is going to appear when time runs out. But in the interim, I've got this invitation to become a VIP member, which is paid for, but obviously you've got a little bit of upselling going on here, or perhaps something akin to an OTO or one-time offer. As before, when the time runs out, the download link appears, and if that's all they want, then they can go and get their free report as before. So of course you must provide that opportunity. But if we just go back to the admin page here, remember this is in a separate folder, it's a separate instance of this product, so we've got product 2 admin, and everything here is pretty much like you've seen before, except that the iframe URL is product 2. If I just go back, and this stuff that we've seen here, all of this copy and the image, this is actually contained in vip.html. Equally, what we saw a moment ago when we linked to the free report download page, that goes here, and you can see product 2 free report.html. And if I go to my FTP client and drill down, you can see there those 2 pages are there. They don't have to be there, but it's just convenient in terms of showing you what's going on here. And of course admin and index.php are the things which get delivered, which make this product go. So there you are, that's another idea. I've stripped everything away to the way it was before I did the first installation, so that I can address this question. If you want to install the product in the root of the domain, then you can. And this of course is my domain's home page here. So what I could do is drill down to product and then individually upload all of its components into the root of the domain. Now everything will still work here, but the danger you've got to watch out for is that you've got index.html and index.php, and the latter of those is the one which does all the hard work. Index.html might be your regular content. Some servers will serve HTML before PHP if the file name is the same. Others will do it the other way around. As it turns out, on my little demonstration site, the HTML version gets served first, but I've seen others where it's the other way around. So if you go down that path and put it in the root domain, do be careful, do be aware that there's scope for some confusion according to the way that your server is set up.